Imagine a mom having to choose between caring for her children or taking the time she needs to receive cancer treatment. Imagine a child watching their parents' health deteriorate and not understanding why. Nanny Angel Network provides free professional relief childcare programs for moms with cancer. Joining me today to tell us more about this unique organization in Kingston is Leah Weary, a Nanny Angel Network champion, and Nanny Angel Kelsey Jacobson. Welcome, Leah and Kelsey. I'd like to hear more about Nanny Angel Network, and I'm going to start with you, Kelsey. I want to know a little bit more about your experience and why you joined Nanny Angel Network as a volunteer.
So I joined Nanny Angel Network back in 2014, and I actually joined them in Toronto. I just moved to the city. I was looking for a way to get involved in the community, and I had a passion for childcare and education, so I was looking for a volunteer opportunity that would match with that. And then I also think that cancer is something that's touched so many people, and certainly people in my extended family and through friends. So it felt like kind of a nice way to merge my interests, my passions, and causes that I really wanted to support.
And why are you interested in bringing it forward to Kingston now?
So it felt almost serendipitous, because just as I moved from Toronto to Kingston, I got an email from the NAN founder, Audrey, telling me that Nanny Angel Network was also going to move to Kingston. And even though my life had kind of changed and where I was at had changed, there was this opportunity for me to be more of an ambassador in Kingston. So it's incredible for me to now be in this new community and to be able to still be in touch with and support this organization that I started with, 6 years ago. So I'm excited to see NAN grow here and to be able to take on this slightly different role and still be a big supporter for the network.
Leah, you are here because you have a history as well with Nanny Angel Network, and I was wondering if you could tell us about the program that is in Kingston and how long it has been here.
Sure, I can do that. So Nanny Angel Network, to give you some context, it started in Toronto 11 years ago. And the founder of Nanny Angel Network, Audrey Guth, she's a mother of 4, she's an entrepreneur and a cancer survivor. And she had her aha moment. She was seeking treatment for her breast cancer. She was at a treatment session and she noticed across the room a young mom who had to bring her toddler with her to treatment. And the toddler was fussy and pulling at mom's headscarf, and mom was sitting there crying. And Audrey realized that this mom was never going to get the care she needed if she had to drag her toddler along with her. Well, Audrey owned a nanny agency, and she realized she had the expertise to do something to help this mom. And from that, Nanny Angel Network was born. And since that time, in 2009, NAN has helped over 1,000 families and was looking to expand. So we started operating in Kingston about a year ago. There was about a year of planning that went into that before we started operations in Kingston. And it's been an interesting year as a new organization in town, but also with COVID. It's definitely had its challenges, but in the past year, we've provided services to 10 families with big plans for much larger growth as we move forward.
What kind of growth are you looking at moving forward?
Well, we're setting our sights. We hope that by the end of this year, the end of 2021, we're supporting about 50 families, or have about 50 families we're providing services to. So we're looking to grow at a rate of about 3 or 4 families a week. With that growth in providing services to families, we have to match it with volunteers. So we have about 25 volunteers with Nanny Angel Network here in Kingston. As a lot of those volunteers are angels, such as Kelsey in the field in Toronto. We have Nanny Angels here in Kingston. We also have volunteers like me. We're behind the scenes. We do things like fundraising. So not only do we need to spread word about Nanny Angel in Kingston and the services we can provide families, but we have to make sure that we spread the word about this amazing volunteer experience.
How do you recruit volunteers, and what are you looking for in that volunteer?
Okay, so one thing we hear from our volunteers all of the time is it's an incredibly enriching experience. They really appreciate the experience. And we're looking for people who have at least a year of professional childcare experience, and they have to be able to commit 4 hours a week for a minimum of 6 months. It's very important that we provide consistent care to these children in a time when everything in their life is being upended. So we're really looking for a time commitment for several months as well as 4 hours a week. And once we find the correct volunteer, the person that's had that experience, we vet them and interview them, not just to determine what their skill and experience level is, but also to get to know them. A really important piece of the Nanny Angel program is that we're matching a volunteer with a family that they're going to become a part of that family's fabric in one of the most critical points in that family's life as they navigate a cancer journey. And so it's really important that it's a great fit and a good connection. And so we're looking for, background and interests and strengths that match them with that family. And we are recruiting from our students here at Queen's and St. Lawrence College and the other institutions. We're so lucky in Kingston because we have a lot of students and recent grads that have focused on child-centered studies. So they might be teachers, they might be working as youth social workers, they might be in pediatric medicine, and they've got that experience, and what a great opportunity for them to put it to work. Once they're with NAN, they receive extensive training on how to deal with or help those children deal with some of the tough emotions as they live in a family where there is a severe illness, but they also receive training in grief and bereavement. Unfortunately, some of our moms do succumb to their illness, and we provide care for up to a year through that bereavement period. And that's a time when these kids are really going through a range of intense emotions. Nothing in their life feels normal, and their Nanny Angel provides them with some consistency through that tough period. The end result is the kids are resilient and they have coping tools and strategies that will serve them for the rest of their lives. And our volunteer Nanny Angels get a real sense of satisfaction because they are the ones that have provided that gift to those children.
Kelsey, so you are a Nanny Angel, and we've just heard about the extensive training that occurs once you become a Nanny Angel. Can you tell me a little bit about that extensive training, what you learned and how you put it to use in Toronto?
Yeah, definitely. So as part of your training to be a Nanny Angel, they do a really careful job to make sure that you feel confident and comfortable with what you're about to do. Something I really was impressed by and felt really cared for through my volunteering was that I was matched with a family whose personality matched mine, my interests matched theirs, and it was important because I actually ended up spending almost 2 years with that family, so I really got to know them. So aside from being matched really carefully, we also have the regular training that you would expect. So volunteers do a police check, they get first aid and CPR certified, just so you have that kind of basic level of training. But then NAN also provided grief and bereavement training with a grief and bereavement specialist. That was something that I was really intimidated to try to work with a child who might be going through this incredibly difficult thing. But the training made me feel really secure in what I was doing, and the principals were really focused on ideas of like listening, responding, and being there for the child. Those are all things that anybody can do, but to get that little extra bit of support about how to frame conversations or how to introduce it when you're playing, or even Sometimes the child would bring something up while we were playing a game, and if I hadn't had that training, I wouldn't have recognized it as a question or a fear about what was about to happen to their mom. So it really helped me recognize situations and also think about how to interact with the kid. The other thing that NAN does is they have what's called a child life specialist. So this is someone who has expertise in that field and designs activities and games or things that you can do with that child that's really focused on supporting them. So recently, our child life specialist came up with these coping kits. And what they do is they give the Nanny Angel some directions and activities to equip kids with particular coping mechanisms or skills. So for a month, the Nanny Angel might work with a child to develop their mindfulness. And these are just kind of like life skills that will help that child now and hopefully into the future too. So I would say if you're curious about volunteering and you feel like you have the childcare experience, but you're maybe intimidated by the situation, don't be. There's so much support to make sure that you feel confident in what you're doing. And there's always resources to reach out to, as well as a really nice network of other Nanny Angels. I found it hugely beneficial. I was a student when I started. And not only were there other students, there's also a lot of retired nurses, retired teachers. There's people from all kinds of different walks of life and different levels of experience that you can kind of network with and get to know.
And did you see from beginning to end with your family that the program was actually working? Could you identify that as something that you felt was a positive thing, what you signed up for?
Yeah, it was incredibly meaningful and incredibly enriching to be a part of that family. And we built up a relationship that was really rooted in trust, such that I felt like the child that I was working with could talk to me about kind of her biggest fears and worries. And we could talk about it in a really open way. And then I could also talk to mom and dad about what was going on. So it was really meaningful to me to be so enmeshed in that one family and to see kind of the child come out of her shell, to really look forward to the visits. They actually ended up moving away, but we stayed in touch for a time afterwards just because we developed a close connection. So it was neat to see how the program, I think it helped the child certainly in her ability to cope and feel confident, but in the family as a whole too, to open up these lines of communication.
Good, thank you. So Leah, you are a champion for Nanny Angel Network. What does that mean? What does that title mean? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. Well, you know, we struggled with what my position would be. I am a volunteer, but it's a very meaningful title. When I learned about Nanny Angel Network about 3 years ago, I was new to the Kingston area, had been a lifelong volunteer, and was a little bit at a loss of how to make sure I was still doing volunteer work in my community, in a community that I really didn't know too many people yet. I had found out about Nanny Angel Network through a mutual friend and of Audrey Guth and myself, and I was immediately taken by how effective this really simple idea was. No mom should ever have to choose between her own care, her own health, and the care of her child. So simple and so effective. So I got to meet Audrey Guth and tell her how amazing I thought she was and her charity was. And she told me that in preparation for their 10th year anniversary, they were very excited because they were planning on expanding NAN to their first community outside of Toronto, and how exciting that would be and how they were going to grow across Canada and help families everywhere. And I said, that's great. Where are you moving? And she told me the cities across Canada they'd been shortlisted, and I said, wait a minute, I think you should move to Kingston. And so from there I proceeded to convince Audrey and her board that their search for the proper town in Canada was over. It would be Kingston. And so really that's where the name Kingston Champion came from. So that was the start of the work. After that, it was a matter of finding support within the community and determining that yes, there is a need, and there certainly is a need in Kingston for our services. We're a community, a small community, but we are a city of people who come from other places. And so they often don't have a support network. Maybe they're here for school, the military, a contract job, but they don't have a support network if they get sick, if mom gets sick. The other thing is we do have a strong sense of community here, and I was very fortunate to secure our seed funding for Kingston. And so my job as Kingston champion has been to bring this service to Kingston, to help fundraise, but also to help build awareness. Families have to know we're here when they need us. Volunteers need to know that we're here. So that's a big part of my role now in Kingston. And it's been a year since we started services. It's been really, really exciting. We've had a lot of support from the community, and we're looking forward to more. It's more challenging in these times, and it's more challenging for all of the nonprofits out there. And so it's been great to be in a community that really cares about its residents and wants to support good endeavors.
We're going to take a break. Stay with us. After the break, we'll take a look at the programs that Nanny Angel Network offers in Kingston. I'm April Andrews, and you're watching Kingston and Company on YourTV. Welcome back to Kingston and Company. I'm April Andrews. With me today is Leah Weary and Kelsey Jacobson, and we're talking about Nanny Angel Network Kingston, which provides free professional relief childcare programs for moms with cancer. I'd like to know a little bit more, Leah, about if a woman is diagnosed with cancer, does she need to wait until she starts treatment before she approaches Nanny Angel Network to get help?
That's a really good question. It's a really important one. We would like moms to come to us when they receive their diagnosis. The earlier that we can begin working with a family, the better. So from day one, we want to be there to provide support for those children. They're going to go through a whole range of emotions, from first finding out about mom's diagnosis, through her treatments and recovery, and if it does become terminal, through that process as well. So the earlier we can start working with children and establishing that trusting, caring relationship with their nanny angel, the better. Having said that, we are happy to help a family at any stage of their cancer journey. So it's not unusual for us to have a family come to us even as late as in the bereavement period, and we will provide support anytime during that cancer journey. So we hope that maybe they learn about our program at the same time that they learn of their diagnosis.
And let's talk about programs, because you have more than just someone going in and helping that lovely family through that crisis. There's more to it. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, well, we've had to innovate this year. So we started about a year ago a program called our Rhonda Green Summer Camp program. And through that program, we provide funding for children in our Nanny Angel Network program to attend the summer camp of their choice, which is great. As you can imagine, if mom's at home and it's summertime and kids are out of school, it can be really, really challenging for that mom during that time period. And it's also really challenging for the kids. So of course, we had to change that program this year because of COVID. And so now we have had this summer, the Rhonda Green Summer Camp in a Box program. It turned out to be really successful, and we had kids right here in Kingston who participated and loved the program. So if you can imagine, each week a delivery comes for these kids. They get a big box full of camp activities and crafts. And twice a week, a Nanny Angel Network volunteer counselor would have a virtual camp session with the kids. They'd do the camp-related activities, do the crafts. So it gave kids that sense of normalcy and, again, some consistent support over the summer, and it gave mom and dad a break. So that was one of our programs that we had to pivot because of COVID. We also invented some brand new programs through our experience with COVID. Visits, instead of becoming in person, became virtual visits. Our moms have compromised immune systems, and their safety is our utmost priority. So we still wanted to consistently provide support for the family. The visits became online visits. Kids were entertained for a few hours, and mom could take a break. And in addition, we started to realize that COVID was providing or causing some other challenges for our families. So all of a sudden, a trip to a grocery store is fraught for our families in our program. And getting nutritious food and meals on the table became even more difficult for them. So we started working with some caterers here in Kingston, and we provided healthy, nutritious meals for our families delivered to their door at no charge. This has been a really successful program for us. Today, we've provided over 450 meals to our highest risk families in our program here in Kingston. And we're going to continue with that program in the short term. The other program that we developed, and I think all families felt the pain of going from school to homeschool and online learning. You can imagine the stress for our families when mom is at home with cancer and now has to be responsible for an extra layer of their children's learning. So we developed the Virtual Homework Club. That has also been taken up by families here in Kingston. It's been very successful, and it's really taken the burden off of the families, now not having to coach their kids through those lessons. But for the kids themselves, it's been really important because it's given them the confidence to know they're not going to fall behind, and it's been incredibly helpful. And again, that's a program that we are going to continue in the fall. What we're seeing is that a lot of our families, because of mom's immune system, are choosing online learning this year. So we're going to continue with the homework club for the foreseeable future.
Thank you. So we've talked a lot about moms, but dads get cancer too. What about dads? What's happening with dads?
Yes, that's a really good point. And we do help families where dad has been diagnosed with cancer. Really at NAN, our approach is that we are there to support the primary caregiver when they are diagnosed with cancer. And this is to lessen the impact of cancer on the whole family. And so primarily, mom is the primary caregiver. And primarily the situation is that it's women that are struck by cancer at a young age when their kids are young. But we do have dads, and we have dads here in Kingston as well that need our support. At any given time, we can accommodate up to 10 families where dad has cancer. And I should also make a point, it's not just dads, it's primary caregivers. So we have cases where grandma is the primary caregiver, or it's a foster parent who's been diagnosed with cancer, and we want to support those families too.
You mentioned funding all the way through. Is there something that COVID has changed for you this year?
Yes, so we've been fortunate in Kingston. The community has raised up to support us, and we've received some significant funding from the Homestead Charitable Foundation, the Davies Foundation, and the Churchville Foundation, to name a few, as well as some private donors. However, the money we raise in Kingston is augmented by what is raised in NAN as a whole, as an organization. And the majority of our funding, we are completely privately funded. We do not get any government support. And the majority of our funding every year comes from our annual gala in Toronto. It's about 70% of our funding. It was to have taken place on May 7th of 2020. And unfortunately, at first we postponed, but then we had to cancel it. And realistically, our gala will not be held in 2021 either. So like many nonprofits in our country, we are struggling to meet our needs. And so we're looking for innovative ways to raise funds, but it's more important now than ever before that our community supports what's happening in our community. So we're looking forward to the continued and growing support of the larger Kingston community. We've had gifts in kind by local stores and businesses who are struggling themselves. So it's been great to see the community rally around Nanny Angel Network, and we look forward to their continued support so that we can help families right here and make sure that our kids are strong and healthy and resilient and navigate this really tough situation in a way that leads to a healthy adult life for them as well.
Kelsey, do you get a chance to tell others about your experience with Nanny Angel Network, and are you helping to recruit?
Yeah, I definitely do. My favorite line to tell people is that you kind of end up feeling a bit like Mary Poppins because you get a nanny bag and tons of activities. So if you have a passion for childcare or you're just curious about the program, it's a great thing to get involved with. Myself, I'm involved with the Queen's University community, and I know there are tons of students there who are looking for opportunities. So any chance I get, I try to tell people about Nanny Angel Network, just so that they know what's going on here in Kingston.
So Leah, can you tell me about the type of families that need help here?
Sure. So, you know, families come in all shapes and sizes and socioeconomic backgrounds, and it's often we find the families that need our help are those that don't have a support network close to them. And in the case of Kingston, one story that always stands out in my mind is of a family that was brought to Kingston through the military. And they lived here on the base, and mom was diagnosed with cancer, breast cancer. She had an 18-month-old child at home, and her husband was being shipped out within 2 weeks of her diagnosis for a 6-month posting. She had no support network, not only not in Kingston, but not in Ontario. And it's just that type of family that we need to help. Interestingly enough, I learned through the social workers at the oncology department at our hospital here in Kingston that they often found themselves in the position of having to take a collection to raise money to provide childcare for moms so that they could come in and get their treatment. And that's exactly the type of situation, the gap in cancer care for moms that Nanny Angel Network is there to fill.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kelsey and Leah, for joining us today and talking about Nanny Angel Network. Good luck to you in the future.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.